country, including Austin, the ATF comes in with illegal aliens. They have a driver's license. The private sellers, not the gun dealers, sell them a gun. Then they bust them. Then they use that to threaten the leaseholders where they're having the gun shows to shut them down. So they're doing this at the local level, but they're also doing it on the national level. And now they've come out saying, we've got to restrict your guns, and the ATF has tried to tell gun dealers, don't sell somebody more than one gun, even if they're a citizen. Without a law, they're just ordering them to do this because of what's happening in Mexico. But statistically, we've seen the statistics. Most of the guns in Mexico, as I said, are being sold by the military to the cartels.
That's exactly what's happened. They've gone missing from the armories in Mexico, and those are the ones that might have a serial number because originally they would have been sold by the United States or allowed by the United States to sell to the military, full-auto M16 battle weapons, machine guns. But a lot of the other guns in Mexico don't even have serial numbers. Those came in with a dope load. To think that somehow the Mexican cartel needs to go to a U.S. gun show to get a gun is just crazy. And you're not going to find an RPG launcher there anyway. You're not going to find grenades at gun shows anyway. So a lot of the stuff that the cartels have been using simply could not have originated from a store, from a gun show inside the United States. And I think that's why this gun runner program was set up, was to try to jack up the numbers, maybe some 3,000 guns that would be traceable back to the United States. They had to, and think of how callous the hierarchs are in Washington, to knowingly let these guns go in, knowing that they were going to show up at crime scenes. That's the only way you're going to get these guns traced back to the United States. Mexicans pick them up and say, hey, is this one of yours? Knowing then that somebody has to get murdered in order to get these statistics up. These people need to be taken to jail.
Absolutely. And then they'll throw the book at somebody who hasn't even really violated a gun law here in the United States, or somebody's at a shooting range, as has happened, and their AR-15 malfunctions. It's a legally bought semi-auto. It malfunctions. The good little Nazi tattletales call the police. The ATF comes and throws them in prison because of an admittedly malfunctioned gun that hadn't been altered. They'll spend millions of dollars, if need be, prosecuting them. Meanwhile, they're pumping guns into Mexico for the cartels.
And they did it with very much this guy Olofsson that you're talking about that had the malfunctioning gun. They lied on the stand, and we couldn't even get the Supreme Court to take the case up, even though we pointed out in our brief for Mr. Olofsson that the lower court had made a ruling based entirely 180 degrees contrary to a ruling the Supreme Court had made at an earlier time. And the way our system currently operates unconstitutionally, that ruling was supposed to have been the law of the land. And yet the Supreme Court wasn't even interested that a lower court basically told them to take a hike. It just makes you want to pull your hair out.
Larry, I want to play a short clip for those that just joined us. I mean, in case they haven't seen this on the news, it hasn't gotten the attention it needs. Here's a short CBS clip. The whole clip's at cbsnews.com, but here's just a short piece of it, the intro, where they even admit it themselves. This is CBS, legendary for their lust to disarm the American people. Here it is.
John Dodson, a federal agent, says what he was asked to do was beyond belief.
You were intentionally letting guns go to Mexico.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, the agency was.
An alcohol, tobacco, and firearms senior agent assigned to this Phoenix office since 2010, Dodson's job is to stop gun trafficking across the border. Instead, he says he was ordered to sit by and watch it happen. Investigators call the tactic letting guns walk, in this case into the hands of criminals who would use them in Mexico and the U.S. Dodson's bosses say that never happened. Now he's risking his job to go public.
I'm boots on the ground here in Phoenix and telling you we've been doing it every day since I've been here. Here I am. Tell me I didn't do the things that I did. Tell me you didn't order me to do the things that I did. Tell me it didn't happen. Now you have a name on it.
All right, let's stop there. This came out a month ago. We've shown the mainline news articles on screen for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, but anybody can just Google it. They now admit that they did order it, and the cover-ups collapse. And Obama, to protect himself because of congressional calls for inquiries, has said, and we'll put that headline back up from Forbes, or is that Politico? I have Forbes and Politico. Obama claims he didn't know about Operation Fast and Furious. No, that's the San Antonio Express News there. So there you have it. He now is trying to protect his hind end. There should be a congressional investigation to prove, this goes right to the White House.
Very, very likely. We know that Eric Holder, the Attorney General, is involved in the cover-up because he wrote letters responding to Senator Grassley's inquiries, telling him to take a hike. And that means, as far as I can tell, Holder is in on the cover-up, if not in on it earlier on. And if you're in on the cover-up, you're going to be in just as much trouble as the guys who were doing it to begin with.
Larry, how do we honcho this? How do we make sure that this false flag, again, staged event against the Second Amendment, is not continued and repeated? Because if we don't bring them to justice, they're going to continue running false flag ops.
Absolutely. What we're doing right now, and we've just put out a mailing to our members, is to urge, and you can do the same by going to our website at gunowners.org and getting a hold of the latest alert. Better yet, sign up for them there. It's a freebie because we're putting the heat on the Congress. We want members of the House to encourage Darrell Issa to actually hold a hearing. He does have 4 investigators on this now, which is a big step. And we want to make sure that he's fully committed, he's in this all the way, so that the hearings will take place, because obviously they're not going to take place in the Senate. Harry Reid's not going to allow that. Chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Leahy, is not going to allow that. But in the House, they can do it, and they ought to expend a lot of resources. There's a lot of corruption that Darrell Issa can use his oversight committee for, but this one happens to involve murder. And so this one ought to be at the top of the list. And that's what we're asking our folks to help us get across up on the Hill.
And the false flags don't stop there. 2 Michigan Democrats indicted in fake Tea Party scandal. And from the evidence, they went and were going to run a fake Tea Party candidate to basically, say and do horrible things to discredit the Tea Party. Democrats have been caught doing this all over the country. It's also come out that they've considered Republicans in Wisconsin staging events against their enemies. The fact is, these type of frame-ups across the political landscape are very, very common, but I've got to say I see it a lot more often from the Democrats as of late because they're so incredibly desperate. I mean, this is a big, big, big deal to have the Attorney General tell the U.S. Senate, take a hike. I'm not going to let you know what's going on. We just had Obama launch a new war in Libya without even consulting Congress. More and more, we have him trying to shut down coal power plants without Congress said no on the new Kyoto deal, but he's going ahead with it. I mean, is this not all impeachable, Larry Pratt?
Oh, I think it's going to end up at least going to the Attorney General and impeaching him. Let me just backtrack a second to something you mentioned a minute ago. The ferocity of the response of the Democrats, the thuggery that they're employing, which we saw so evident in Wisconsin. There's a real reason for this, and it's called money. If those public employee unions become voluntary membership, then we'll see in Wisconsin what happened in Indiana. The membership will drop about 90%, and the impact of that is so will dues money drop 90%. So will political contributions to the hardcore left Democrats drop 90%, and that's what it's all about.
And then they lose their control, and they don't get to take our guns.
Yes, that's exact. It's a gun issue. It's a pro-life issue. It's a pro-taxpayer issue. It's a pro-landowner issue. All of the freedom issues are bound up in the fight against compulsory unionism, and as far as I'm concerned, Gun Owners of America needs to be shoulder to shoulder with these folks that are in that battle, because that's a battle for us.
Ron Paul has been outspoken on so many great things. I know he said a few things about this false flag to ship guns to Mexico and then blame it on the American Second Amendment here in the United States. But we need to get Ron Paul. We need to get Rand Paul out front. We need to drag and haul the Attorney General, to haul Obama before the Congress and say, we're your boss. And we know what you did, and when did the president know, what did he know? We need to get this rolling right now, and we could defeat this corrupt political dragon now. Now, shifting gears into another area, I don't know, Larry, if you've seen Media Matters, but if you go to Media Matters, run by George Soros on record, they spend about 20% of their time on yours truly. And Politico reports that they now are going to shift to an all-out campaign of guerrilla warfare and sabotage to bankrupt Fox and destroy them. The Washington Examiner says, is this illegal? Because they're a 501c3, but I think it's illegal for anybody to say they're going to destroy something. But they said Fox News and other conservative websites. Well, it turns out InfoWars is listed, Prison Planet. So other than Fox, I'm the biggest person they're attacking because I'm anti-globalism. I don't like Soros's Bretton Woods 2 to get rid of the dollar. I mean, folks, we're asking for people to pray for us because these are very hardcore authoritarian. They're praising Cass Sunstein's calls to restrict free speech in the news right now. They're attacking yours truly everywhere. I mean, they are so cornered and so desperate. They think Americans, even though the Republicans are rhinos mainly, they realize that we're taking over the Republican Party, that there is a true restoration happening, and that makes them deadly dangerous. What do you make of this Media Matters war against Fox and the fact that they've gotten this memo where they say we are going to destroy and we're going to use government, it's in there, to shut down free speech? I mean, these people are literal Joe Stalins. What else is it?
I think you read it spot on, and one of the most alarming comments tells you what would happen if the Democrats were to retake power in the Congress, was a statement by Senator Lautenberg that these conservatives don't deserve the protections of the Constitution. Wow. How in your face is that? Yeah, these people just want to get a hold of our throats with their boot and step on it. They're all about power. They're not about process at all. The ends justify the means for them, and elections are only important to them when they win. But otherwise, they just want to drive right on through. The heck, they lost the last election. They don't care about that. They'll send the thugs over and beat the snot out of you until you agree to say, okay, well, we didn't really win. We'll give you what you want, even though the people elected another party to go and take care of business. And I also think that you've made a very important point, that the road to the future and the road to freedom is by taking over the Republican Party. And it hasn't been completed. It's a long way from that, but it's begun. And I think the Tea Party has it all right. They understand that. They're not running third parties. They're not going to divide the vote. They're going to go straight into the primaries and take out the rhinos. And, all of a sudden, Orrin Hatch has returned to his roots of 30 years ago. He's trying to play like he's a conservative again. It's really marvelous to watch.
Well, it certainly is. We have an article at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, pseudo-intellectual hit piece emblematic of crumbling elitist media. That's the danger. Mainline media imploding. Fox News acting like they're anti-New World Order, getting ratings. They understand the future is liberty, is 1776. They see the rise of this broadcast. They're getting scared. Larry Pratt, I want to talk about the type of dirty tricks we can see out of these folks, but I think to mainline liberals out there who are good people, I mean, how scary is this that they're calling for restrictions of the free press in the U.S. and England, that they're praising Cass Sunstein's stratagem of going after the First Amendment, that they're calling for destroying Fox News. I mean, this is very dangerous to the free press in this country.